So what's going to happen next? How the hell should I know? It's a lot easier to backtrack and determine what they did and how we got to this point than it is to look into the future and see what might happen next. Number one, I suppose, I'm sorry if you're a Democrat. I'm sorry that your party has betrayed you. However, that doesn't change the writing on the wall. That doesn't change what has been done along the way. And yes, I can sympathize with people who follow the Democratic Party's philosophy. I can sympathize with their feelings leading up to all of this. I myself have been in a similar position, wanting to believe the best of the people around me, while when my back was turned, they were doing their worst. But as a point of interest, I'd like to point out that it's not just the Democratic Party. This infection runs through both sides of the aisle and has basically become standard practice and operating procedure within. It just shows the most and is the most prevalent on the left. I've said this before and I'll be more than happy to say it again. Left, right, or straight down the middle, I really don't care who's running the show. But they all swear an oath to the Constitution. And that hasn't been standard operating procedure for a long time. And now that it's being exposed and they're under threat, it's risen to the surface at a level we have never seen before. All by design, mind you, so that the people who aren't under the spell of deception can pull their heads out of their asses and see things as they really are. Is it hard to accept? Is it hard to handle? Most definitely. We are all preconditioned to want to think the best of anyone and everyone until they prove differently. Some people are able to see through deception right away. Some take a while to come around. But sooner or later, if it's demonstrated enough, everyone will see which side of the bread has the actual butter on it. I don't know how many of you were lucky enough to see Muhammad Ali while he was in his boxing prime. But he had this move that he used to use on his opponents called the rope-a-doper, where he'd bob and weave leaning up against the ropes and let his opponent literally punch themselves out trying to hit something that couldn't be hit. And when the time was right and his opponent would start wearing themselves down and sucking a bunch of wind, he would come off of the ropes and start whooping ass. For anyone that's been paying attention, that's exactly what we have been witnessing for the past few years. A prize fight. And the prize is possession of this country. And along the way, our president has been talking smack, getting his opponent all worked up so they'll come in and punch themselves out. And I don't know how many of you have noticed, but the bobbing and weaving, the shucking and jiving is about over. And the other side's sucking serious wind. And it's time for that big knockout punch. That is, if the man is what he says he is and is truly on our side. Standard deep state practice has always been, when they're in trouble, is to cause some big event to distract the public from what's really going on so that they can get away with whatever they're trying to get away with. And if that's the case, and that is truly their last resort, it has to be a big one. Beyond even a 9/11 style event. The people who are involved in what is called the deep state don't give a shit about us. The only thing they care about is being able to get away with whatever they've been doing, and that's about the gist of it. Concern for the American public is not high on their list of priorities. As long as they can accomplish whatever mission it is they have in mind. I think I've mentioned this before. What concerns me is the amount of time that's been given for them to formulate an exit plan when they finally have to admit to themselves that there's no way out. And it would appear that we are at that point because, like I said before, they're all punched out. They have thrown everything they have at their opponent, and there's no gas left in the tank. And for anybody who's watched boxing or MMA fighting or any kind of physical competition, should know that's when things get dangerous. Because someone who knows they're beaten will try anything to accomplish a win, to pull defeat or victory from the jaws of defeat. And all of our safety hangs in the balance because of it. I've done my best to run all this down along the way. Whether or not people actually paid attention, listened, or took any of it to heart, that's beyond my control. So I can't tell you what's going to happen next, besides the FISA warrants being declassified and some of the other investigations coming to light. What I don't know is how they're going to react to it, what their exit plan is, and exactly what could transpire because of it. All I know for certain is that a lot of you think our fate was decided a long time ago. A lot of you aren't willing to take an interest because you got other things to do. The unfortunate part of all of that, and I've tried to stress this along the way, is that when and if it all goes sideways and shit hits the fan, you're gonna care then. But unfortunately, it'll be too late.